Hi, everyone. Okay, today we're going to talk about learning how to trust your intuition during the writing process. So, this can be really tricky because there are a lot of things holding us back from that, but it's really important to be able to learn how to tap into that and learn how to work through it so that you can learn to trust your internal guidance, which really is not going to steer you wrong. But we just have to learn how to listen to it and interpret what it's telling us. So, first, following intuition can be difficult because we are often attached to the outcomes. So, a lot of learning about switching your mindset and having a growth mindset and things like that is all about learning not to be too attached to certain things. Now, of course, you want to follow things through, and of course, it takes a lot to write a book and commit to that and follow the process through and publish your book. But sometimes we get too attached to the outcomes where we cannot see when our intuition is actually telling us it's time to pause and step back. So I did a video in this a few days ago about my personal journey in this, so you're welcome to go watch that. But I'm going to give you some tips today about following your intuition and things you can use, some tips that we can use to go through those things. So the first thing is to allow yourself to be audaciously creative. So if you are feeling kind of stuck in your writing process or things just don't quite seem to be working out, sometimes you just need to step away and allow yourself to be creative in a manner that doesn't make any logical sense to you. Sometimes you just need to explore the muse. You need to let it go. You don't need to worry about what you should be writing or your next book, because those are outcomes that we can get too attached to. And we can say, oh, we have to do this. This is what I have to do. And when we have all these shoulds in our head and all these have to do's in our head, it can really stifle our creativity. And it can prevent us from following that creative guidance, that intuition that will allow us to actually do the things that we want to do. And the things that our intuition is guiding us to do are ultimately the things that will be most successful. And now I don't necessarily mean successful as in selling a lot of books, but they will be the most fulfilling, the soul fulfilling writing that is actually what we are meant to do. You also just need to give yourself permission to do this. Like, a lot of times it's like, I can't do that. I have to work on this book. And again, I talked about this in my own life. I was working so hard on the third book in my series, and I knew I wanted to get it out next. And so I was working hard on it. And thankfully, my husband, in his wisdom, said, well, what if you don't need to do that right now? What if you're not meant to do that right now? And it was just such a sigh of relief that I said, okay, I'm hitting pause on this book and I'm following my muse. And I have been writing in a book that I haven't written in a while, but I've been writing something that is totally completely different than I ever thought I would write. And it's been so much fun. And it's part of allowing just giving myself permission to not work on that series. And I fully intend to get back to it. And the book is almost done. So it was almost like, but I'm almost done. But my intuition, through the voice of my husband, was telling me that I needed to pause on this. So sometimes you just need to allow yourself to be creative and follow that muse wherever it goes, and give yourself permission to do so. And you also need to give yourself permission to not write. Sometimes if you are just trying too hard and you're fighting too hard, take an honest assessment. Maybe you just need to say, I don't need to write right now. Maybe that is what I need. Maybe I need that breathing space. Maybe I've been burned out on it. Maybe I need space to take in other forms of media and get inspiration from that. So stepping away can often give us perspective. It can also give us a way to see things more clearly and kind of backing up and seeing the forest for the trees, or I'm pretty sure that's the expression. This always gets confusing. Anyway, so just stepping away can give you that perspective and say, okay, maybe I will get back to this book way sooner than I thought. But right now, in this moment, I need to take a break. And the reason for that is because if you force productivity, if you force yourself to do things, all of these shoulds and have tos, if you are forcing productivity for the sake of productivity and for getting things done and, just all of that, a lot of times it can lead to burnout. So that can be a really big struggle. Okay, so number 3 is to be relentlessly honest with yourself. This can be a really big struggle as well. It can be really tricky to actually say, Am I really, is this really something I want? Is this really something that's right for me right now? And we are often told that we can't trust that inner voice, and it can be really, really detrimental. But if you are relentlessly honest with yourself, here are a few questions to ask, and just be completely honest. Is your current work in progress actually working? Is it something that is it actually working for you in this moment? Do you need to shift to something else? And does the plan you have need to change? So a lot of times, like I said, we have these plans that we get attached to, and we get attached to these outcomes, and we feel like we need to actually just follow this through. And yes, that is 100% true in some cases. Sometimes we do just need to push through. But if your intuition is asking you to take a step back and to reevaluate, then please be honest with yourself about that. It is the only way to allow yourself the space to flow through, all that creativity to flow through you, and actually get back to a better place where you're creating um, out of abundance and creativity and love, instead of scarcity and productivity and just like this should energy, the should or have to energy. Another thing is to learn to let go. And I've talked about this. We get so attached to these outcomes, but if we cannot let go of the outcomes that are no longer serving us, that are no longer in alignment, we can struggle to actually do the things that we want to. And then again, we'll get burned out and we won't want to even do anything. And this was where I was at a few weeks ago, where I just felt like like, do I even want to write anymore? And it was such a terrible place to be in, because I know I want to write and I know that's where I want to be and that's what I want to do. But it was almost to the point where I felt so unaligned, I guess, misaligned, that I could not see the forest for the trees. And so stepping back and allowing myself to breathe this project and allowing it to pause so I can work on something else, at least temporarily, has been that breath of fresh air that I needed. So recognize when your writing needs start to shift, because sometimes, especially now, I feel like in this time with the pandemic and everything that's been going on, a lot of us have been, things have shifted for us, and our mindsets have changed and our circumstances have changed, and a lot of things are in this period of flux right now because there are so many different things going on all at once, it feels like. And when you change, your writing is going to change, because your writing is a reflection of you. So you have to allow space for that, and you have to allow that to happen. So that can mean letting go of old projects, even if it's temporary, and even if it might be temporary and it turns into permanent or whatever. Sometimes the process of just letting those go and saying, okay, I'm going to step away temporarily. Sometimes you need to say it's temporary and just allow that to evolve, and the plan is to get back to it. But sometimes maybe it doesn't eventually happen, and that's okay, because learning to let go of those should to and have tos is allowing what allows us to have that breakthrough, and allows us to have that openness and the creativity and that joy in our writing again. And the last thing is to give yourself space to grow, and also grace during the process. And this is one of the things that I say most often, is to always give yourself grace during this process, because it can feel daunting. There can be a lot involved, and it can be hard to learn to listen to our intuition at first. It can be hard to tap into that voice, because our brain always wants to override it and overrule it and say, nope, we're not doing this. This is how it's going to work. And sometimes, though, we have to work together. Our intuition and our brain are both there to serve a purpose, and they need to learn to work together instead of fighting against each other all the time. Last thing, change is inevitable, and it's good. And so if you're in a space where you feel like your current work in progress is not working, if you feel like there's something about your writing that needs to be tweaked or adjusted because things just aren't quite fitting right, I encourage you to go over this list, to think about what it is that you need to be sometimes brutally honest with yourself and what you need to do. Okay, so if you want to get some more help on this and get some more insight into this, I would love to help you. I do offer free clarity calls right now, and you can check the link in my bio on Instagram, and it's in the description as well on the video. So thank you guys so much for coming, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.